thought we weren't taking breaks.
Oh no, I just don't know the logic of the first break. We should just probably just go in. Welcome back to the Rogue Wave podcast. All right, we call this segment "All Around the Rogue." Basically, I just really like the image. It's really wonderful and exciting. And we'll give you a little bit of a pop culture taste of what's going on around pop culture circles right now. We had a brief conversation about Andor. Let me ask you a question about Andor, real quick. Has sentiment changed on the internet or in or in the hive mind since last week about Andor? Are people still kind of down on it and are
From
fools?
what I've been able to see, it's kind of a mixed bag. There are people arguing for its greatness. I mean, there's people who think it's just, I mean, I've seen people say it's god tier entertainment, and then there's other people that say, it's good, but it's boring. So, which means it's not great. The numbers aren't really that great for it. The ratings numbers aren't great for it. So I don't know.
Yeah. That's what I've heard as well too. So hopefully, well, they're shooting season 2, so we'll get a season 2 out of this. And look, there are shows that sometimes need to get their footing a little bit, need to establish everything, and then once they've established, things can kind of go right into it. I actually label Game of Thrones in exactly the same fashion, to be honest with you, because the first 5 episodes of Game of Thrones was a slog, man. For me, I wasn't a fan of the books. I didn't read the books. If it ain't got pictures, I'm not reading it. And so for me,
I like that. I just don't have. I like the cell phones. That's my favorite part of the show. The cell phones. I don't even have to insult you. Like you just do it to yourself. But okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I didn't. I
You don't like to read. You like pictures. I got you.
I know. I like to read comic books.
That makes a lot of sense.
Of course, I don't. Nothing to be. I'm not. Ashamed of that in any way, shape, or form. I'm very proud of that.
I don't think you should ever be ashamed, no matter what.
Really? I don't know about
hold your head
that.
up high.
That's a bold statement, Hassan. That's a bold statement. We'll
I think you shouldn't be. I think people should not be ashamed of themselves.
That's good. Well, sometimes we'll gauge that on a sliding scale. No, but here's the thing, though.
You can't gauge my opinion.
I
mean, okay.
I do it every week. No, here's the thing. I think that we're going to get a season 2, and hopefully, much like Game of Thrones, I do feel this is very Game of Thrones, not in the same tone sense. Obviously, it's not a Game of Thrones show. It's just in the sense of it had to build up a cast of characters, a network of different storylines going on, to the point where I think when we do get the next season, it's going to be more action. It's going to be more. So that'll satiate them. That being said, I don't even need it. I loved it the way it was. I do agree that binging it, I think, was a lot better than doing the week-to-week format. Because I remember, the first few episodes I watched week to week, and I trailed off because I just wasn't. It took binging it for me to kind of get it, and so I don't know. I definitely. Did you? Have you binged it? You said you were going to.
Yeah.
I guess that does say it all, doesn't it? Now.
Well, there were other things to watch, so I just decided I've seen it already. I may watch it again.
When you finish it, let us know. I'd like to know your take.
I finished the show. I've seen the whole
no.
show.
I'm saying on binging it when you do the binge.
I'm not gonna look. No? It's probably not gonna change my opinion of it. I think it's a really well done, very slick looking show. It's kind of like The Last Jedi was really well done and slick looking, but substance wise, whereas Andor's it's Shakespeare compared to The Last Jedi. For the sake of substance, in my opinion, I think it was. It comes off to me. This is not true, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes off to me as self-indulgent. It comes off to me like it's a 26 episode show, and it has the luxury of taking its time to get to where it wants to go.
Yeah.
My issue with Andor really isn't with Andor. My issue is with the format and people's complete abuse or misuse of this particular format. And most of the fact that the format is being used now in a particular way to maintain relevancy and to keep to keep the product in the discussion,
Right.
keep it trending. Because, again, another situation where people think that Twitter is the world.
Right.
And the at the sacrifice of actual substance. That's my issue with it. And also, and as I have been saying for a long time, we're gonna have to wait 2-3 years for another season. So we don't get quality content. We get less of it, and it takes longer for them to give it to us. And so under the pressure of that knowledge of like, man, I hope this is good because this is all we're gonna get for 2 years. Watching it, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, I'm in episode 6 and you're still, in this prison. Are you kidding me with it? Now, I understand because the show has substance, it's very much a quandary for me because like I watched it, I was entertained, I do get it, I do understand why people say they love it. Like,
Yeah.
sometimes you'll hear people say something like they love something and you're like, what? How, what are you, a monkey? But I watched this and I'm like, yeah, I get why people think this is great. And it's quality Star Wars for a long, that's
Yeah.
been missing for a long time. I mean, like adult Star Wars. I'm not talking about because I didn't mind Obi-Wan, and eventually I didn't. Eventually, I didn't mind Boba Fett. Like I
Right.
made peace with all of them, but Andor, I got it like right away. The first 2-3 episodes, I was like, this is gonna be amazing because this is so. This is done in such a serious manner. This is not tongue in cheek. This is not a nostalgia play. This is not people trying to get me with member berries or whatever. This is really them trying to establish something solid in the universe of Star Wars that's more oriented to espionage and spy theatrics, and making it a war story as opposed to
Right.
space wizards and a kid with a laser sword. But it just lagged as far as I was concerned, and that kind of I wasn't upset that it lagged. I was upset that I knew that it wasn't going to reach a meaningful height
Yeah.
this year, and
Yeah.
that it was laying groundwork for something great that was going to happen 2-3 years from now. And
Okay.
that got on my damn nerves. That really did make me very and that edged me toward. Now I'm a fan of Andor because I love Rogue One
Yeah.
and I want it to succeed. And I think Diego Luna is fantastic in the series, although he's kind of a non-entity in the series. Really, most of the stuff is stuff that happens around him, and he's just kind of wandering until he makes dire decisions towards the end of the story. But it doesn't matter. I mean, I
Yeah.
like the way they put that together. I think that the use of the volume, the way they can make the production look like it was $100 million production where it wasn't, it couldn't have been, is fantastic. But the damn show is boring. I can't say it's not.
Moving along, Lord of the Rings gets 7 new cast members for season 2, and replaces a cast member, Joseph Mall. He's leaving Lord of the Rings. Apparently, he's doing it to explore new characters. So he's apparently doing it all on his own, which I don't believe. I never believe. I feel like, why would you leave a hit show?
Which one is Joseph Mall?
He's the leader of the orcs.
Well, then we don't need him anyway.
Yeah.
Well, most of them got killed. So,
yeah.
I mean.
I still haven't watched it. I'll get around to it. I'm waiting. My wife wants to watch
Doubt
it,
it.
but she's the
Doubt
worst.
it.
She's
I
the
doubt
worst
you'll
when
get
it comes
around
to
it.
this.
Yeah.
No, you think I'm bad.
You haven't finished Ozark yet, dude. So I mean, I ain't waiting.
Surprise casting or surprise news. I finished Ozark. Bing, 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 bing. Look at this. Surprise topic. I got to tell you, you have Andor to thank. I was so excited after watching Andor. I was left so like in a great mindset to watch other quality shows that I'm like, you know what? It's time. I watched the last 2 episodes of Ozark. I've
And then you
completed it.
realize it wasn't a quality show.
What's that?
And then you realize it wasn't a quality show.
So I gotta tell you, I think Netflix. So here's the thing. I actually think. Here's the thing.
You're on the Chiron.
No, here's the thing. I actually think the final season was great. I thought all 4 seasons were great. I really have no problems with any of it. I felt like season 4 could have and should have been 2 seasons, but it's the anti Game of Thrones, right? It wasn't the creators being like, yo, we got to wrap this up. It was like Netflix being like, you got to wrap this up. And they're like, well, all right, I guess we're going to do everything. So the pacing was a little fast, but everything that ultimately happened, it saddened me at the end. No spoilers for what happened at the end, but it saddened me. You were hoping.
Yeah, I didn't buy the ending. You
No?
know? No.
How come? As spoiler free as possible.
Because as you said, it was rushed. So it was like, really? Like this is how you choose to, without spoiling it, this is how you choose to end this, you know? And some of it, I think, is a thumb in the nose of Netflix. It's like, nah, we're just going to end it like this, We're going to do this to this, particular this that, that is highly beloved. And, F you. And it just kind of leaves you kind of like, oh, all right, I guess, what was the point of all this,
But that's, and that's the thing, though. I would say up to about episode 13. No, not 13, but it's like 12 when, and this is spoiler, sorry. When.
You just told me not to spoil. You can't spoil it.
And
that's not fair. You can't break the rules. These are the rules. You set the rule.
I know, but I can break it if I want to. Look, I'm preparing the audience that I'm going to do a little spoilers. When Wendy is on her knees crying to her father, that would have been the season finale in my mind. And then there would have been an entire season after that to which the eventual ending would have happened and would have taken place. Whereas it was like, man, oh man, you set up all these amazing I don't want to put them cliffhangers, but storylines and the characters had reached these different arcs and conclusions, and I'm like, man, I could go for another 8 to 10 episodes of this, and I think they would have gladly done it. But Netflix is like, for some reason, for as groundbreaking as Netflix is, and they're truly groundbreaking in terms of what they did, I just don't understand why it's a company wide thing. They don't want to give multiple seasons to shows.
Netflix's a business model is they beat all the other streaming services because of volume.
Yeah.
So I guess they're the conventional wisdom amongst them, whether right or wrong, is that we don't want to get bogged down for any too long because we want the volume, and then some of these shows become phenomenons, but they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're not big enough. They don't sustain people. People don't keep coming. Like, okay, Stranger Things was their number one show.
Yes.
For 6 weeks. That means people were coming back for 6 weeks. They were watching the entire series again.
Yeah.
Ozark was their number one show for 2 weeks. And like it's a weird phenomenon. The Lost in Space was a big hit the first season, fizzled out the second season. People didn't trend for very long. So then they canceled it and they said this third season is going to be the last season. And then season 3 was number one for 4 weeks, Well, so
no, Ozark was huge. Was, like you said, was huge for when the finale finally came out, because people go out, they watch it, they hear good things about it. Netflix, I think. Yeah, I think they really.
But I don't think they're right. But I mean, they're.
No, I'm saying I don't think they're right either. I think they screwed up.
I know, but I think that they do better than all these other streaming services, though.
Yeah, but they don't have what Disney has and what HBO has, which is IP. They have Stranger Things, and then they have a whole bunch of you know, they're done throwing money at these new shows. They just don't have the money to do it. So
yeah, let me try again. They're still doing better than these other services, and I think that the reason they're doing better than the other services is because of the format.
they were first. That's all. They were first.
So is MySpace. That logic doesn't hold.
Yeah, but MySpace didn't do it better than the other platforms. Other platforms came around and did it better. That's, you know, and MySpace was still pretty huge when Facebook was around.
So that Netflix is still doing it better.
I don't think that's actually true because they lost a lot of subscribers. They've taken a downturn.
No, I mean
this
you gotta check those numbers again because they actually overshot their
right after
subscription.
expectations were lowered because they lost people in one of the quarter. I think it was like the first quarter, second quarter this year. They lowered their expectations for the next quarter, and they're like, oh look, we actually gained back. You know, but they're not in bad shape. Put it this way, they're not hurting either way. I kind of found that the quibbles about Netflix is over was a little overdrawn. That's
kind of what I'm saying. That's kind of what I'm trying to tell you. And if you study the Nielsen ratings, if you look at the Nielsen rating, they are consistently beating every other streaming service. So
yeah, they have more subscribers. That's why. I mean, they have 220 something million subscribers to like Disney Plus has 70. Disney Plus is only a few years though. I think Disney's going to overtake them at some point. They have the IP.
What do you think the nature of this conversation is about though?
I don't know. I'm pissed that they ended that they ended Ozark after 4 seasons.
I know. Never mind.
All right. Real quick before we get going,
you're just so interested in countering me that you kind of missed the point that you were trying to make.
Were we agreeing? Is that what is that?
No, I'm not agreeing with you, but okay, go ahead.
Well, there you go. All right, Peter David, go check out. He has a GoFundMe going on. Longtime Incredible Hulk creator. He suffered several strokes and a heart attack, which is extremely scary. But you can definitely go and contribute to his GoFundMe to help out with his medical campaigns. He is doing better though, which is phenomenal. At least from the last update from his wife. On the GoFundMe page as well too. Influential, totally a rogue, totally somebody who we should do a spotlight on at some point. And in terms of impact in the comic book industry, Peter David is one of those elite, Mount Rushmore type, in the conversation writers. So get well, feel better. Next week, very exciting. We've got Sarah Booth from Three Pines, a new show on Amazon Prime. So we'll get to talk to her all about the working with Alfred Molina, working on Law and Order SVU, the show itself, which the first 3 episodes for sure are on Amazon, probably the next 2 as well by the time we speak to her. So we will see you folks next week. Hi guys, Mike Dolce here from the Rogue Wave podcast. If you like this video, please feel free to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. It really helps us out. Leave a comment, let us know what you'd like to see in future episodes, and tune in every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern for a brand new episode of the Rogue Wave podcast.